Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. We can go ahead and get started. Today, we want to talk about managing the price list in Proline. The price list is one of the most important parts of your Proline account. And we're going to talk about the price list, cost categories. This drives everything that you do in Proline, including your quotes, your templates, your work orders. Um, and every item you see in a quote comes directly from this tab. You can create multiple types of work orders using this information. Let's go ahead and jump in to screen share. All right, so to get to your price list, you're going to go over to what we call the hamburger menu on the top left of your page and scroll down to company settings. When you're in company settings, you're going to choose price list. We have here company defaults. We can search the price list by name or filter by type. I have 4 different types. We'll go over this in a little bit: labor, material, gutter labor, window labor, or I can filter by what template these items are in. So our price list items. I can also download this list or upload a new list. So if I would like to import via CSV, I can do that, or download via CSV. I would download to get the table formatted correctly and then upload, and that's just the easiest way to do it like that. Um, let's go ahead and move on. So you can um, update manually. So I have my windows here. I can say, is there margin, the type. Again, I have 4 different types. We're gonna go over these costs. We call them really cost categories. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I have my cost and then my unit of measure. So $200 per item is what I have listed here for windows. These are all unlinked items. And then I have an ABC supply. I haven't actually uploaded anything from it. And we have a QXO integration as well. So you can import your list from those systems if those are um, companies that you use to order materials. So you can go ahead and upload your items there. And you can create templates again for work orders or material orders or quotes based on where you're ordering supplies. If you have multiple vendors, maybe you want to have, and their pricing varies, and you don't want your margin percentages impacted. Maybe you want to have a different quote template for when we're ordering from ABC versus QXO, just for example. So unlinked, I have everything unlinked here, so we can just see my full list, and I can again search it, filter it by type, which is our cost category, or filter it by the templates that they are on. All right, so let's take a look first at our unit, or sorry, these little buttons over here on the right-hand side. So I have the calculator. My calculator allows me to add measurements. I added a waste factor percentage to Windows and a coverage of 1. I can make this static or a percentage. I can also create a minimum. This is if the quantity is less than this minimum, then the minimum would be used instead. So basically, this means that if you if the quantity that's calculated automatically is less than whatever minimum I set here, maybe I want to just for fun say my minimum waste factor is 5. That would not make sense. But in this case, this is what we're going to do. Then that means that no matter what, my calculated cost is $1,000. And this is because I have a minimum of 5 items that need to be included here. This maybe makes more sense, or definitely makes more sense when you're ordering shingles. You want to have some extra, and in other similar materials. So we want to have some extra when we add, so we can use this calculator to add various measurements and update our calculations based on for any one of these things: chimneys, vents, electrical mats, drip edge, starter square, hip and ridge squares, breaks, valleys, hips, ridges. You can create here a calculation specifically for that item, for this specific line item. We do all the math for you on the back end once you have this set up. I have seen people get incredibly creative with this. If you're one of those people who has one of those giant Excel spreadsheets that helps you formulate all of your quotes, what you need to do is put the formulas in here and allow us to do the work for you. You can also use a custom formula, and we have some guidelines that will show you how to use the different formula pieces. The formula is here. You can type it in. You can also copy and paste from the right-hand side based on what you're actually trying to put together in a formula. So, I'm not going to do that for this item, but if this quantity calculation editor is not quite what you need for the item that you're working with, just use our custom formula and have it work through the formula exactly as you need it there. And we'll do questions at the end. So, and I have a feeling this one might be a hot topic. The next thing that we want to talk about is editing items. So let's go to editing here, a little pencil. So my item name is Windows. I can update that easily. I can also add what I want to show on the quote. So when Windows is on a quote, what do I want it to say and how do I want it to look? So I can use the multiple fonts. I maybe want to have 16 bold. Window, maybe I want to say window protection plan automatically included. Maybe I want this bold and a little bit larger. And then I want to have something a little bit smaller and not bold under it. Please ask your sales rep for more information. Or maybe you just want to have like a really great, beautiful description of this type of window. I'm sure that you're not just, you could just be saying windows, but there's also a lot of types of windows. So you may have more detailed descriptions of each window. Order description. So this is what's going to show on material orders and work orders. Even though you have an order description here, I can create work order templates that hide certain descriptions. So just this is if you want an order description to show, this is what it would have on there. The next icon here just looks like 3 little bullet points. I have what we call a variation. I have my label color. And then I have added blue and white. And let's add another one, let's say beige. So maybe I'm talking about for the window, this is the paint around it. So I want to have different color variations. I can show you what this looks like on a quote in just a little bit, but variations are very helpful when you're trying to help a homeowner make a clear distinction or clear decision about what to choose. You do kind of want to avoid being too generic. I prefer whenever I'm looking at a quote or a work order that I'm saying window color or you know shingle color. Because let's say that there's a multi-option quote here and I have windows, gutters, siding, and I'm replacing the roof, and all of these things have color options. We're going to want to be pretty clear about what variation we're talking about when we're looking at the quote. They could choose all of that on the quote very easily. So you can add, edit, or delete at any time any of these variations. And then after I've deleted that, you see that I have view inactive. I can also view any inactive former variations that I had listed. And that just avoids mistakes. Let's say we created this with blue. Blue doesn't make sense, but somebody chose it. And we're trying to figure out how. We have that data here to help you. The next thing we have is this little guy here for supplier connection. and sync. So if you work with ABC Supply or QXO, which I don't have connected here, it's a newer integration for us, click that plugin icon and link any item to that supplier. So you'll also see those tabs that we talked about where you can see the items specifically from those suppliers. Um, when it comes to live pricing, you can choose auto sync or manual sync. This is completely up to you. And that's going to happen at the integration level. So whenever I'm choosing here and I choose ABC Supply to link this item, I'm going to be able to decide if I want it to automatically update pricing coming from ABC Supply, or if I want to manually choose that option once a quarter when I want to update everything. Um, Inside this page, you'll find the sync costs button, and that's where you can trigger a manual refresh of pricing. And then if you don't want to wait, for an auto update. So that is how that works. And then of course I can delete everything that we delete. When you choose delete, we make it difficult because we don't want you to accidentally delete something that you really didn't need to. So I have to actually type in the word delete for this item to disappear from my item list. Again, if I delete it, it's still going to show. I'll have, just like with that variation, I'll actually be able to recover deleted items later as well, which is really nice. Let's go to the bottom of my price list. I have my cost categories. I'm sorry I had to zoom out for this, but just let me know. I hope that everybody can see this okay. I have my cost categories. And like I said, I have four. I have multiple here. I've seen these used in many ways. A lot of people really like to use cost categories for obviously labor and materials. Those are already included on your account. I've divided up types of labor so that when I send a work order for gutter, I have a gutter work order template, just for example, and it will go to my gutter subs. And then they don't see the windows or the roof or anything else. So that's why I have those set up this way. They're just what feeds the budget tab in projects and make your reporting really accurate. So it is important to set these up in a way that makes sense for how you want to categorize your items. Um, I've also seen miscellaneous, I've seen permits. There's other ways that you can use the cost categories. So when you add a cost category, you type in the name and then you choose a color. And I didn't do it there because I'm not connected to QuickBooks, but you can also choose to sync certain things to QuickBooks on your budget. Tools and utilities, here at the very, very bottom, I can find and replace measurement formulas. So this is the last thing here on this page, and let's go ahead and click on that. Find and replace calculation formulas. I can find and replace formulas for price item defaults or line item overrides. So find and replace is going to just be an easy way for you to make actions in bulk. And this way, instead of editing every single item, you can search for a formula and bulk replace it. That's pretty much that for this one. Let me go ahead and zoom back in because I don't love how small this is now. All right, scrolling back up to the top. One way that this price list was described to me earlier was that it is like your toolbox, and that every single item in here is a different tool, is a different thing that you need for different projects. And so you're going to pick and choose from here what you want for different quote templates that are assigned to a project. And then we can further delineate from there what jobs are they going on, what work orders, what material orders, and just overall how you set up your templates. Keep this page accurate. It is very critical for your quoting and obviously your work orders, but quoting is so critical to maintain those margins, to make sure that you're making money on every single project. And um, so updating these cost margins, measurements, you want to make sure you're doing that regularly and that you're double checking everything. And then let's take a look and see what kind of questions we have today. No questions so far. I think I did want to show you the Windows variation on a quote. So let me just hop over there and do that while I'm waiting to see if any other questions come through the chat. So here we're here, test, test, and create a new quote. Just going to choose a test template. One thing that I was reminded of earlier today that I think is really nice is that there are, you can, if when you're creating quote templates, you can actually just add your items in there. So you can go through and just do your whole price list at one time. You can also just be creating your quote templates, and that will be saving all of your items that you put on to the quote. So you could either do your price list and then go create your quote templates with your items, or you can actually go to your quote templates and it will add the items in for you as you're building them. So whatever way works for you for how it's going to be best for you to think about things whenever you're putting the items together. For some people, I think it makes a lot of sense to say, well, this is how I quote, and so I'm going to go through my quote templates that I want, and then we'll compile the items for you automatically. Then for some people, they want to upload their price list and then use that to back in to the other parts of the project. I need to add some more information here, guys. We actually need to add some windows for this to work. Okay, let's also see if we have any. So if I go to approve this quote, you notice I have this variation now that says window color, and I'm choosing between white or beige, which are the two options that I put in there. And then I can leave comments. Can I approve the beige specifically? Um, I'm the customer in this case, the homeowner, and I am adding in a note about this, but this is the variation that we added earlier in the call on to Windows and why we think that having it be very specific is critical. Because if I'm quoting multiple things that have different color options, I want to make sure that I'm being very clear. Okay, let me check again if I have any questions. And if I don't, I will let you all go. I really appreciate your time. I enjoy our sessions on Tuesdays, and I will not be running office hours next week because I'll be traveling. And then there was one more week coming up later in the month that I will have to skip, but we will have some people backfilling to make sure that we keep this content coming to you. Have a great day. I appreciate all of you.